Good evening. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, in addition to the Pledge of Allegiance, we are lucky to have singing the national anthem the talented 10th grader from Neshaminy High School, Rebecca Gutierrez. Rebecca is a Silver Award Girl Scout in Troop 2535, and she participates in several choirs, school plays, and sings in the Neshaminy High School Orchestra. So, Rebecca Gutierrez, please come up.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was fantastic. Rebecca Gutierrez from Neshaminy High School. And just really a privilege to have you here sing the national anthem for us. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Can we have one more round of applause for Rebecca? Ms. Corporal, would you please call roll?
Mr. Kizak.
Here.
Ms. Payne.
Here.
Ms. Hanna.
Here.
Ms. Kane.
Here.
We also have Township Manager Ms. Tully Cools, Assistant Manager Mr. Vala, Township Solicitor Mr. Esposito, and Township Engineer Mr. Kessler in attendance.
Thank you, Ms. Corporal. A few announcements. The next Board of Supervisors meeting will be Monday, September 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. And we have our budget workshops coming up, and those are going to be Monday, October 17th at 6 p.m. and Monday, October 24th at 6 p.m. We encourage residents of the township to come out and participate in our budget workshops. Those are open to the public. That is when the Board of Supervisors goes through and begins preparing the budget for the next year. So if you're available, come out Monday, the 17th and the 24th at 6 p.m. We also have a few upcoming events. There's going to be another beer garden, and this one is going to be at the Parkland Fest Community Day. That is Saturday, October 8th, 2022, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., and that's at Firefighters Park. Secondly, Fire Prevention Week is coming up. Fire Prevention Week is October 9th through October 15th, and we will have an expo, our 2022 Fire Prevention Expo, and that's going to be Saturday, October 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's at the Oxford Valley Mall. So if you can, come out on October 15th, 10 to 3 at the Oxford Valley Mall for our 2022 Fire Prevention Expo. We also have a few special items. The first is we have a Fire Prevention Month proclamation. This is a proclamation recognizing Fire Prevention Month in Middletown Township, and it reads, whereas Middletown Township is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living, working, and visiting our community, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are at greatest risk, And whereas home fires kill more than 3,500 people in the United States each year, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments respond to more than 360,000 home fires per year. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the odds of dying in a reported home fire in half, all residents should install smoke alarms and alert devices that also meet the needs of the deaf and hard of hearing in every sleeping room and on every level of the home. And whereas homeowners should test their smoke alarms monthly, as 3 out of 5 home fire deaths occur in homes without working smoke alarms. And whereas Middletown Township's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas the 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, quote, "Fire won't wait, plan your escape," end quote, works to educate everyone about simple but important actions they can take to keep themselves and those around them safe from home fires. Middletown Township Board of Supervisors proclaim this day, the 3rd of October, 2022. We also have another proclamation recognizing Energy Efficiency Day in Middletown Township, and it reads, whereas energy efficiency is the cheapest, quickest, and cleanest way to meet Middletown Township energy needs, avoid dangerous pollution, and reduce utility bills for residents and businesses in our community, and whereas implementing energy efficiency and other clean energy policies and programs can help boost economic opportunities and job creation while continuing to move Middletown Township to a sustainable future, and whereas smarter energy use reduces the amount of electricity needed to power our lives, which helps avoid power plant emissions that harm our health, pollute our air, and warm our climate. And whereas for cities and states like ours that are trying to tackle harmful pollution, energy efficiency can get us about halfway toward our emissions reduction goals. And whereas energy efficiency makes homes and workspaces healthier, safer, and more comfortable. And whereas cutting energy waste saves U.S. households billions of dollars on the utility bills every year, up to $500 per household from appliance efficiency standards alone. And whereas a nationwide network of energy efficiency groups and partners has designed the first Wednesday in October as National Energy Efficiency Day. And whereas together we can continue to contribute our sustainability efforts by learning more about energy efficiency and practicing smarter energy use in our daily lives. Middletown Township Board of Supervisors proclaimed this day, the 3rd of October, 2022. And finally, we have a third proclamation recognizing Spina Bifida Awareness Month in Middletown Township. And that proclamation reads, whereas spina bifida is the most common permanently disabling birth defect occurring when the spine and spinal cord do not form properly within the first 30 days of pregnancy and impacting approximately 1,500 births each year in the United States. And whereas individuals living with spina bifida may have multiple medical conditions, including walking and mobility issues from paralysis, bowel and bladder problems. And whereas 166,000 Americans live with all forms of spina bifida and 4,000 people live with spina bifida live in Pennsylvania. And whereas there is no cure for spina bifida and what causes it to form is unknown. And whereas the medical community recommends that women who could become pregnant take 400 micrograms of folic acid daily to help prevent neural tube defects such as spina bifida. And whereas through the years of research and with the information discovered, people with spina bifida tend to lead normal and independent lives. And whereas individuals and families living with spina bifida deserve support from members of their community, now therefore be it resolved by the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors that October 2022 be proclaimed as Spina Bifida Awareness Month. And that brings us to our next special item, and we will have a presentation from Scott Henley, who's the Director of Operations of the Pendel Middletown Emergency Squad. Director Henley.
Good evening. How is everyone? I just want to take a few minutes. It's been some time since we've been in front of you. I'm fairly new to the organization in this role, although I've been a paramedic here for the last 16 years. Just want to take a few minutes, give you a snapshot about where we are, what we're doing, the kind of times that we're in, and give you a chance to ask any questions in relation to what we're doing. I want to talk about real quick, our stations and our coverage areas. Who are we and what do we do? Our response statistics, some changes drastically since COVID began. Some Bucks County statistics and some challenges today that EMS faces globally. And what are we doing about all this? So as most of you know, or I hope you know, we operate 2 stations. We're here 24/7, 365. And I would like to emphasize that we are here, we will be here. One station's on Langhorne Yardley Road and the other on Lincoln Highway next to Denny's. primary coverage areas, excuse me, are Humeville Borough, Langhorne Borough, Langhorne Manor Borough, Middletown Township, and Pendle Borough. We also respond to, I call them secondary response areas, Bensalem Township, Bristol Borough, Bristol Township, Falls Township, Lower Makefield, Newtown Borough, Newtown Township, and this is because they border our other stations. So we're governed by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Bureau of EMS, and so therefore they require us to do mutual aid responses. So who are we? What do we do? You know, we're a nonprofit standalone organization. We're highly educated EMTs, advanced emergency medical technicians, paramedics, and physicians. We continually train, take classes, and we are required to do annual competencies every year. We answer 911 emergency medical calls when we're needed. Much community involvement, community outreach, CPR education. We're always doing that. We enjoy that. We've been doing that since a long time ago. We're an EMS educational institute where EMS providers from wherever can come and attend classes and get certified. We do CPR, as you can see there on the left. On the right, we're here at the National Night Out. And I think Chief Bartero's back there, but that's where we took the cake at the hoagie making contest. One of the top photos is the mobile stroke unit out of Bensalem and Jefferson. That also comes into this township, where they bring a CAT scanner right to the curbside. They bring a nurse and a CT tech, and if the patient warrants it, they can begin the clot-busting drug TPA right there in front of the patient's residence. And there we are we're doing some stroke education up in the up on Village Lane up there in Shady Brook. We're also one of only 2 organizations in Bucks County that house a bariatric support unit. This allows us to safely transport bariatric patients, and this was a county initiative to kind of find a resolution to that challenge. So that operates out of our main station on Lincoln Highway. Excuse me. Real quickly, you know, many people often ask us, you know, how do you, you're standalone, you know, how do you obtain revenue? So I don't want to get highly into this, but 70% of our revenue is services rendered, you know, what we do. So insurances and things like that, subscriptions, some tax money, and I'm busy trying to find and write some grants as well. The interesting and challenging part of that is 61.57% of that billing is fixed income, you know, based for which the government, you know, those are the rates that they set. So it's challenging. We're always trying to find ways to kind of combat that a little bit, but that is payments by the payer type. Responses. This is easier. In 2019, we did 4,389 calls in Middletown. In 2020, that dropped, and COVID was a large part of this, 4,203. And in 2020 run, it rose again significantly, 4,727. Those other graphs on the side are other primary response areas that I'll talk about. So in 2019, we did 4,389 calls. 78.6% of our calls were in Middletown, and 509 were in our other primary, Humeville, Pendle, in that area, and we did a total of 5,590 calls. In 2020, it drastically dropped, the call volume dropped drastically, you know, as COVID hit. Everyone felt this, saw this. People weren't calling. So in Middletown, we did 4,203, and then 548 in our other primary areas. And mutual aid is going out of our boundaries there to neighboring municipalities. 2021 came around as people started coming out again and started feeling a little better. Middletown, we did 4,727 and 555 in those other primary response areas. And again, a significant increase, 6,231 calls for 2021. From 19 to 2020, we saw that decrease in volume, 203 calls. Much of this is contributed to COVID. People generally did not want to go outside. They would call us and they would want a consultation, but really didn't want to go anywhere. And people, they just didn't want to be exposed to other people or the hospitals. So we had a decrease in Middletown from 2019 to 2020 of 186. And then 20 to 21, we saw an increased volume of 844 total calls. More people were out and about. We encountered many, many, many very sick and ill people that we believe stayed home when they probably should have been getting taken care of, but they just didn't want to go anywhere. So we saw an increased number of nursing home calls, and in Middletown, we had an increase of 524 calls from 2020 to 2021. This comes directly from the Bucks County EMS office, who oversees us. It's a snapshot of the call statistics for the county, not just for, our areas, but, we could see the trend is the same that I just spoke about. 28,627 in 2019. It dropped in 2020 to 27,446. And then in 2021, when things started getting somewhat normal again, 30,172. And to date, 31,208 calls for the county. I do not have our specific numbers for 2022 yet. Obviously, I want to wait and report that out, once they all come in. So some challenges today that we all face, not just Pendle, Middletown, but Commonwealth-wide, nationwide, that are very evident out there. We have an EMS provider shortage like many other industries and jobs. I mean, it's no secret. I won't make it up. It's very apparent, and it's here. Providers are leaving the industry very rapidly, and there's very few that are coming back in. All right. Low pay, lack of pensions, retirement options, that seems to be one of the common themes when you ask an EMT or a paramedic why you're leaving or why you're not coming in. Provider fatigue and burnout is huge, huge. Fixed and government insurance reimbursements, stagnant commercial insurance reimbursements, and mandatory equipment costs keep rising. So these are all challenges that I get to think about every day, all day, and how we can combat these. This picture spoke to me. It's not mine, but this kind of shows what everything costs. The heart monitor here in the bottom left, it's a $35,000 machine. The litter in the ambulance, the setup in the litter itself is a $67,000 setup. The ambulance itself is anywhere from $110,000 to $250,000, depending on what you put in it and all the stuff that goes in it. So those all contribute to the challenges and the cost and everything like that. Just some snapshots and headlines from the East Coast to the West Coast. Everybody's short. Insurance reimbursements are challenging. Staffing's challenging for us, but we're doing the best we can. So what are we doing about all this? We went out, we obtained a grant for 2 of our full-time EMTs to attend paramedic class at Jefferson. So they're in their 4th week now this week, doing great, and then they'll work for us full-time as paramedics. So that will certainly help when they graduate. But they have 8 or 9 more months to go, but it'll go quick. We can continue to do our annual subscription. That benefits us and the patients, businesses. That goes towards operational costs, but also goes towards, if they need our service, and there's a balance of the insurance that helps to write some of that off and makes it a little more manageable for them as well. Some of us from Bucks County, we traveled to Harrisburg back in June to meet with lawmakers and other EMS leadership across the Commonwealth to discuss these issues, the ones that I brought forward to you tonight, and just doing our part to be heard, to be seen, to be visible. And so the future, what are we looking to do? What am I looking to do? Look at alternative ways for recruitment and retention, and that is huge. We're hoping to do some kind of big drive, look in places that we never had to look before in the past, high schools, Lowe's, Home Depot, just trying to find people, that would not ordinarily have thought to come into the emergency medical services field. We want to continue to develop a stable capital equipment replacement funding plan. stabilized funding so we are less dependent on commercial insurances and call volumes. We have a high call volume. We're one of the squads that we're busy. You know, there's other squads that aren't remotely as busy as us, but we have the volume. Continue to keep an open line. I want to keep an open line of communication with the Board of Supervisors, and I've been talking to Nick and Stephanie, and you know, I'm new to my position, and I appreciate the few minutes tonight. I wanted to just bring this all to you guys and be seen and be heard, and I appreciate it, and we appreciate it. And we're always approachable, and hope that if you ever need anything or need us, here we are. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Director Henley, for being here. And we think it's important to have you come and address not only the board, but the public, and just share information about your organization. I think a lot of people probably do not realize that your organization is not a township department, that you are a standalone nonprofit. And I think it's important to show those statistics, in particular the fact that something like more than 75% of the calls you do are to Middletown Township. And so I would just say to the residents of the community, it's important that you support the emergency squad in any way that you can, whether it's financially or in any other way. And I would encourage you, Director Henley, to keep coming before us and, you know, providing information. And if there's anything we can do to help, you know, letting us know.
Great, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Director Henley while he's here?
Just roughly, where do those 5,000 calls rank as far as other townships and other facilities in the county?
Five.
In the county, we have the largest, Falls is bigger, Bristol, Quakertown.
We're about the fourth busiest agency in the region. Yep.
I'm sorry, because Mr. Warren, obviously nobody could hear you at home because you're not talking in a microphone, but could you just, if you don't mind, just repeat generally the question and then your response into the
He asked
microphone?
where those five, our call volume, basically how our call volume compares to other agencies, and we're generally around the fourth busiest in the county. Yep. Does that answer your
Thank you.
question?
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, that brings us to public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda items. And those are item A, consideration of authorizing payment of October 3rd, 2022 bills list in the amount of $620,051.28. Item B, consideration of approving the September 19th, 2022 minutes of the public meeting of the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors. And item C, consideration of approving retirement agreement and general release for Detective Christopher Viscardi. Is there a motion on the consent agenda items?
I'll move to approve all consent agenda items as stated.
Thank you, Ms. Corporal. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Payne. There's been a motion and a second. Are there any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of the Maple Point Elementary School amended final land development plan, 2250 Langhorne Yardley Road, TMP 22-031-002/LD, number 21-05 in the RA2 zoning district. Yes, Mr. McGee.
Thank you. Dr. Rob McGee, Superintendent in the Chamonix School District. This is, if it's in your packet, it's a bolded list, single page, you have it. All right. To give you a little bit of history, our first approval was for a structure that was to replace Buck Elementary School. We did an engineering analysis on Buck Elementary School and decided it needed $12 to $13 million in physical plant updates, and then the same number, $12 to $13 million in educational updates in the building. That number, compared to a new construction of approximately $40 million, didn't seem to merit the idea of putting Buck back together. In addition, the idea of renovating an elementary school around children for 3 years was not attractive. So the board decided to endeavor to build a new elementary school on the campus of Maple Point Middle School. We did that. We went through the process. You have approved the process. We were expecting in the neighborhood of $43 million when we opened our bids. It was $50 to $53 million when we opened our bids. So we went back to the drawing board, and we have cut approximately $3 million. And those cuts are on that two-sided bulleted piece of paper. They're in the category of site development, architectural, mechanical, I can't see my back, HVAC, and there's another category, just HVAC. So here with me tonight are our professionals, Mr. Scott Downey from Spiesel, the architect, and representing Gilmore, Brian Henley, to answer specific questions. So we seek to you to approve our amended land development plan so we can open our bids in a month and hopefully get a number that works and begin building the new elementary school. I'll open it up for questions.
Any questions for Dr. McGee? I think I called you Mr. McGee. I apologize.
It's okay. Rob is fine. Just call me Rob.
Any questions for Dr. McGee or any of the other representatives here for this project? No? Everybody good? All right. I'm going to make a motion to grant amended final land development approval for Maple Point Elementary School S/LD number 21-05, as well as approval of resolution number 22-28R for the sewage facilities planning module. The following conditions are included for the plans. Number one, all comments still outstanding in review letters shall be fully addressed for the amended plans to be considered final. And item two, conditions of the prior approval at the February 7th, 2022 Board of Supervisors meeting are still valid, including that the Neshaminy School District will work with township staff and police department to investigate options to address concerns regarding traffic queues during drop-off and pickup times for the middle school. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Corporal. There's been a motion and a second. Are there any board questions or comments at this time? Are there any questions or comments for the public? I do have one question or a comment from the public that was sent in via email. This is from Joseph Lemming. It says, biking to school should be a priority over car pickup and drop-offs. Enabling students and teachers to bike to school encourages more people to bike instead of driving. When given better infrastructure concerning transportation, people make better choices. To bike to school requires forethought as well. Bikes need parking or storage. Paved paths are necessary as well. Coordination between the Neshaminy School District, the Township Police, and the county will be necessary for this project, as students may use Core Creek Park to get to school safely. In Portland, Oregon, there is a bike bus every Wednesday morning. Between 130 and 170 kids make up a group biking to school. 30% of the school participates in this ride. It's a great way for kids to gain autonomy, agency, independence, and confidence, as well as cementing the bonds they have with classmates, the staff, and the community. Physical activity before, during, and after school promotes scholastic performance in children and youth, reads a statement released by the British Journal of Sports Medicine. Physical activity and cardiorespiratory fitness are beneficial to brain structure, brain function, and cognition in children and youth. To tie this all together, it's imperative to make sure the design of the new school and the road improvements done at Woodburn Road and Langhorne Yardley Roads enable safe passage of kids on bicycles. And again, that is from Joseph Lemming. Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, Dr. McGee.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that brings us to other business. Ms. Corporal.
I have nothing, thank you.
Ms. Kane.
I have nothing, thank you.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes, I just wanted to make an announcement that the HRC will be having a virtual presentation called Our Abilities Are Greater Than Our Disabilities. It's a community conversation presented by the HRC. It will be on October 25th at 7 p.m. We're hoping that those with disabilities, as well as those that maybe live with or know someone who has disabilities, will listen in on the webinar. The information will be posted on the Middletown Township HRC website.
Ooh, thank you, Ms. Hannah. Ms. Payne.
Nothing further, thank you.
Mr. Valla.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Kessler,
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Esposito.
Just wanted to announce that the board held an executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss personnel matters. Nothing else.
Thank you. Ms. Teoli-Coles.
No, thank you, nothing for me.
And the only thing I wanted to take an opportunity to thank James Henderson. James is a member of our Township Human Relations Commission. James was instrumental in raising the issue of spina bifida awareness and encouraging the board to pass a proclamation recognizing Spina Bifida Awareness Month. So I want to thank Mr. Henderson for that effort and also for serving on the Human Relations Commission. He's a integral part of that board. And I have nothing further, so with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks. Is there a second?
Second.
Got it. We are adjourned. Thank you.